Now, the next laptop we're about to look at here today is one you don't want to sleep on. And the reason I say that is it's a pretty unique laptop in the sense that you're getting a thin and ultralight design, premium all metal design with an OLED display and a very high-end processor for this category, especially for the price point. Yes, I'm talking about the Asus Vivobook S14 OLED. Now, this is running the Intel Core Ultra 9 185H. Meteor Lake laptop, brand new for 2024. Now, normally we've been seeing, say, in the ZenBook line from Asus and other laptops from other makers, the Core Ultra 7 155H and these ultralight laptops, of course. But here we have a little bit more of a stepped up CPU. It's got Intel Arc graphics, which we know are a definite improvement over the Iris Xe graphics from last year. And we're seeing some really phenomenal battery life in a really nice, sleek package. Again, this is an all-metal design. It's even got a military rating, A10H rating, so it's going to be very durable. Yes, I can't wait to show you what we have here today. I think it's a really good laptop. Again, you don't want to sleep on it. This is one you want to check out, especially for the price. We'll get into that. Hey, everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the Asus Vivobook S14 OLED, the S5406 here for 2024. Coming up.
Now, before we get to the unit itself, I just want to let everyone know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Asus. I'm not being sponsored by Asus. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Asus is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from Asus, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, the Vivobook S14 OLED comes in at $899.99. You could pick it up over at Amazon. I will leave a link in the description below for those interested. What's interesting, you're getting an Ultra 9 185H from Intel here. That is a pretty good processor considering this is an Ultrabook or an ultralight laptop, so not something we normally see every day, and that is stepped up performance. We'll get into the numbers later on. Again, for those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for those who want to buy one. So you know the drill, folks. Let's get this out of the box. Okay, so we have the really nice packaging once again. I don't see anything behind this little screen door here, whatever you want to call it, this little section there. But of course, we get the unit itself. Feels pretty good. We're going to get a look at that in a moment. And then, of course, you get some documentation here. And of course, you're going to get some setup guide and some warranty information and all this other information, yada, yada, yada. You get a 90-watt power charger, and it does have a USB-C connection. You also get the power cord as well. And then, of course, you get the unit itself, the Asus Vivobook, and this is the S series. So I like this, of course. This is the black color. It's got the Asus Lumia OLED display. So it's going to have that really good contrast. It's going to have the really deep blacks, the super vibrant colors. Everything we expect out of an OLED display will be here. They're calling it the #1 OLED display. And you got that Asus branding. Now, one thing I'm seeing already is fingerprints, right? So the black is going to show a lot of fingerprints. So you will have to get your cleaning cloth ready and on deck to clean that off. So you can see it's already picking up fingerprints. So that's pretty interesting. So this is the underside of it. Okay, this is the top of the unit. And let's do the useless test of the day. Yes, you can open it with one finger. And I got to tell you, it looks really good. So right off the bat, you can see here, this is the keyboard. It's got good key travel so far. It's going to feel good. It's got a nice, looks like a glass precision touchpad. This is all metal design. Asus Vivobook S14 OLED, okay? And you get some more Vivobook branding there. Let's see if there's any flex or give on the chassis. Seems pretty rock solid in terms of the build. Screen flex, not much. Now there is a shutter switch on the top here. That of course gives you more security and privacy for that webcam, of course. And looks good in terms of the build. So overall, pretty impressive so far. And you can get a look at the back of the unit here. And again, it is showing fingerprints. And again, I just took it out of the box, so it's going to be a big major fingerprint magnet. You can go back 180 degrees as you see here. So I like that. Doesn't look like there's very much screen wobble, a little bit, but I think when you're typing, it won't be too much of an issue. Now, I do have a lot of reflections here, so that may be making it look like it may have more than it actually does in terms of screen wobble, but the hinges seem pretty good here. So with just the unit alone, you're looking at 1.317 kilograms, and that would be 2 pounds, 14.5 ounces. Not too bad in terms of that weight, that's for sure. And then with the power cord and the power charger, you're looking at 1.668 kilograms, or that would be, of course, 3 pounds, 10.8 ounces all in for a total travel weight. Not too bad. Throw it in your bag. You have something thin and light ready to take with you on the go. Okay, let's check out the port selection. We're going to start off on the left side. We get one HDMI 2.1 TMDS port, two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports that are full function, and then, of course, you get a micro SD card reader, and next to that is a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack. Moving over to the right side are two legacy ports. Those are USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 1 ports to round out the ports on this unit. I would say overall a very good port selection. I would like to see those two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports split up, one on each side, and a full-size SD card reader is more preferable as a content creator, for me at least. But don't get me wrong, having a micro SD card reader is certainly more preferable over having nothing. All right, let's talk about the internals. Let's start off with the RAM, and that, of course, is soldered into the motherboard like most laptops here in 2024. Not a big surprise. Now, this unit has 16 gigabytes of LP DDR5X RAM running at 6700 megahertz or 7500 mega transfers per second, and that is not a surprise. Having soldered RAM means you can run at a faster rate. The consequence of that is it is not upgradable by the user, so just keep that in mind, and I didn't see any option above 16 gigabytes, at least here in the US, or at least on Amazon's website. Now, that being said, it also has an M.2 NVMe SSD that is slotted in, so if you have to expand it out or change it out down the road, you have that option as the user. And as you can see, the included 1 terabyte SSD has decent reads and writes, although the writes are a little bit low for a PCIe Gen 4 SSD, but certainly fast enough for what you need this laptop to do. Now, when it comes to wireless, you're looking at a Wi-Fi 6E and a Bluetooth combo card, and that is soldered into the motherboard, not upgradable by the user. It's Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3 specifically. And I would say that's a little disappointing here in 2024, considering that we want to see Wi-Fi 7 a little bit more future-proof, and the fact that it is soldered into the motherboard means you aren't able to upgrade it yourself. But having said that, the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth both have been working without any issues. Now, when it comes to the keyboard, I'm actually a really big fan. It has the similar style keys we saw in the ZenBook in terms of the chiclet style keys. It also has 1.7 millimeters of key travel, making it very comfortable for typing out long documents, emails, and the like. The tactility, the feedback were very good. It also is a one-zone RGB backlit keyboard, so you can change the colors and do all that if you like that, which is pretty unusual if you think about it for an ultra portable. It's not a gaming laptop, so you have that option here as far as the backlight on it. And it also has the Copilot key. Yes, 2024 is the year of AI, and the Copilot key is on the keyboard like we've been seeing on a lot of laptops here in 2024. Now, one thing I will say about that one-zone RGB backlit keyboard, it was sometimes hard to see against these dark keys in certain conditions, so just keep that in mind. So I wanted to make you aware of that. And it has a pretty nicely sized precision touchpad that I thought was responsive when it comes to scrolling and doing all the gestures. The size is pretty good, as I mentioned, and the overall takeaway is it's a pretty nice touchpad. Now, keep in mind, it's not a haptic touchpad, but at this price point, sub $1,000, I'm not expecting it to have a haptic touchpad, but as for a regular type touchpad, it certainly works very well. Okay, let's talk about the display. A big selling feature is the fact that this Vivobook has an OLED display. Yes, it's Full HD Plus, 1920 by 1200. Yes, it only has a 60 hertz refresh rate, but having an OLED display means you're going to get the really deep blacks, the super vibrant colors, and the really high contrast that an OLED display exhibits, and one of the things we love about them. Now, this has a peak brightness of 600 nits when watching HDR. I measured 430 nits in standard dynamic range, so very bright. And it is also a glossy display, so just keep that in mind. Depending on your lighting conditions, you may see some glare and reflections. Now, excellent coverage of the color gamut. Very good color accuracy, the really deep blacks, as I mentioned, good white point here. Now, one of the things, of course, with an OLED display is PWM. That means you'll notice some screen flickering below 50% screen brightness. Not a big surprise here. So for those sensitive to that, just be aware of that. Now, one of the things you have to be aware of with an OLED display is screen burn-in down the road. Of course, I haven't really experienced too much of that in these modern laptops. But having said that, Asus does a good job in terms of software with the Asus OLED Care, with the pixel refresh rate and all that stuff. It does a good job here, and they bake a lot of that into that app. So they do concern themselves with it, and I think they do a good job overall to prevent screen burn-in. Now, unlike the two ZenBooks I recently looked at in the same price range, this does not have a touch display and there is no pen support. So that's one differentiating factor between the ZenBook line and this Vivobook line. But having said that, for those that don't need those extra features, I think having this OLED display here certainly is very good. Would I have liked to have seen a higher, maybe 2.8K resolution? Yes, but that would have added to the cost. So I think I'm pretty good at a 14-inch laptop here with a nice, sharp, full HD plus OLED display. And I think the display here is the big selling point for one of the reasons you want to look at this Vivobook here in 2024. So this is the 1080p IR camera on this laptop, the Asus Vivobook S14 OLED here for 2024. So what do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality? Now, as I mentioned, it is an IR camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello. This is a Meteor Lake laptop. That means you do have the studio effects. You've got the AI stuff because of that. The NPU that this has is going to help with that. So you get the auto framing. This, of course, will keep you in frame. Pretty good and responsive there, though pretty good in that regard. And then you have the eye contact. You get the background effect. Here's a standard blur. Here's the portrait blur. I would say pretty good. I think overall it's a nice camera. Now, there is a shutter switch above the camera, a physical slider to give you more security and privacy. What do you think about the video? What do you think about the audio? Let me know in the comments section below. Now, when it comes to performance, this is really going to shine because it has the Intel Core Ultra 9, the 185H. That's a differentiator than we've been seeing from the ZenBook 14 OLED, which has the Ultra 7 155H. So you can see a difference here. Slightly better single core on the Geekbench 6, better multi-core slightly, wasn't a big difference. And then again, pretty much same GPU performance in the Intel Arc graphics that both of them share. So not a surprise when it comes to the Geekbench 6. And when I ran the Cinebench 2024, we definitely saw better single-core performance, 111 versus 104, and better multi-core performance, 936 versus 648. What that tells us is the Intel Core Ultra 9 185H is a step up over the Intel Core Ultra 7 155H. But I think in real-world usage, you won't see too much of a difference, although it does give you a little bit of a boost. Now, they both share the same Intel Arc graphics, which I think are really good here this year. They're better than the integrated Radeon graphics from AMD, the 780M, certainly better. And as you can see, when I ran the 3D Mark scores here, the Time Spy and the Firestrike scores, you can see are pretty similar in that regard. And they both got passing scores in the Time Spy stress test, which is always welcome. So the overall takeaways, Intel Arc graphics are certainly pretty good here for 2024, especially an integrated solution. Now, when it comes to video editing, I didn't see a huge difference when it comes to that. And again, similar Arc graphics here. So overall score in the Puget Bench DaVinci Resolve, 670 versus 667, so pretty similar in that regard. Now, of course, having the Intel Arc graphics is a step up over the Iris Xe from last year and so forth, so there's no doubt about that. But I think we need to understand this is not a gaming laptop per se. There are better options out there for specific gaming tasks and so forth. But if you lower some of the settings, you can get some playable frame rates on some of the more popular titles. So that is, of course, good to see here in 2024. Again, keep your expectations in check, but there are definitely playable frame rates here on some of the more popular titles. And good news when it comes to thermal throttling. When I ran the Time Spy stress test to see if this will throttle under heavy load, it got a passing score of 99.3%, meaning it detected virtually no thermal throttling under load. And that's good. Now, the surface temperatures were pretty good here as well. Under load, reaching 42, 43 degrees Celsius above the keyboard, below the display. But where you place your fingers on the keyboard, never getting overly hot, and that's good. On the other side, there was a hot spot reaching 55, 56 degrees Celsius, or even 57 degrees. So So that is a hot spot to be aware of. Other parts of that, not much of an issue. And you will have to contend with fan noise under load, reaching as high as 59 decibels, which is quite noticeable. There are dual fans in here, but when I ran it in the normal mode, of course, doing everyday tasks in the balance mode, there wasn't much of an issue in terms of the fan noise, but under load, you will notice those fans, that's for sure. And when it comes to battery life, this thing is a battery beast. Now, this has the same 75 watt-hour battery as we saw on the ZenBook 14 OLED, the Q425MA. This had 15 hours and 26 minutes on the PC Mark 10 Modern Office test. It did over 15 hours on the video playback. The overall takeaway is this thing will last on a cross-country flight. It will last all day in terms of doing work on it. It's a battery monster, and I think that's an excellent thing we like to see here in 2024. Now, when it comes to the audio, we have bottom-firing speakers here. They're Harman Kardon tuned, and it does have Dolby Atmos. That helps with the spatial audio. I thought the overall volume was pretty good. Decent amount of bass. Mids were decent. Overall sound, I would say, is good, not great. Not MacBook Pro 14 level, of course, but on an ultra-thin and light laptop as we have here in this price point, certainly very good in that regard. But I want you to be the judge. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now, let's give it a listen. Okay, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the Asus Vivobook S14 OLED here for 2024? I like the 14-inch OLED HDR display. It's colorful, it's bright, thin and light, all-metal design. It's pretty durable with a military standard 18-inch rating. It's got outstanding battery life, which I love to see. It's got a very good keyboard, even has RGB backlighting, and it has a pretty nice precision touchpad. 1 terabyte of upgradable storage at that price is really good. It's got a fast LPDDR5X RAM, of course, included at that price because it is soldered in. Just keep that in mind. Very good price to performance ratio, considering you're getting an Intel Core Ultra 9 185H. Pretty unusual at this price point and in an ultra light like we have here. And it has a micro SD card reader for those that want to have SD card reader here. It's there. That is very good. Negatives here, no 2.8K resolution option, at least here in the US, I didn't see it. 60 hertz refresh rate, no higher refresh rate option like 90 or 120. Noticeable fan noise under load. It can get warm under load. You notice the hotspot on the underside. Soldered RAM, of course, is not going to be user upgradable, but it is the faster RAM, as I mentioned. It is a major fingerprint magnet. You will be wiping it down quite a bit, and has a bit of a glossy display, so depending on your lighting conditions, you may notice some glare and reflection. But the overall takeaway is the Vivobook S14 OLED here for 2024 is an excellent choice for those who are budget conscious that don't want to break the bank, but want high-end features such as a nice OLED display, premium build quality, and the overall nice design.
So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to check out my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.